forward.
You're tuned in to Kaz TV.
Kamala was just booed at her own rally, and not by Trump supporters, but by other people on the left. Let's check it out.
Hard work is joyful work. And make no mistake, we will win. We will win. We will win. We will win. We will. Yes, we will. Former president would say, yes, we can. So yes, we can, and yes, we will. And we will win because together, and this is about all of us, we are fighting for America's future. And we understand the opportunity we have before us to turn the page on the fear, Thank you all. And listen, on the topic of Gaza, we must end that war. And we must end the war and bring the hostages home. But now I am speaking about 2024.
Kamala's in a tough position right now, not just because she's going down in the polls and her rallies aren't going so well, but because of this specific situation. Now, in her last couple rallies, she just told people to leave because they weren't her supporters. She told them, you need to go to the smaller rally down the street.
Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
Now, with these protesters, it points to an even deeper issue with the left right now. At this point in American history, many people on the left are letting the extreme left drive the conversation and drive the direction of where the left's going. The difficulty for politicians that are on the left is they have to at least acknowledge and give the thumbs up of approval to those extreme left people while still keeping the people in the middle. So what their strategy lately has been is just act like those people don't exist, and people who point out those extremists are just conspiracy theorists, and we're gonna act like this is a very small fraction of our group, but then at the same time, still head the direction that those people are saying. People on the left and the right have agreed Israel is our ally. Now, the constituents on the left, or the voters on the left, don't agree with that.
Campus protests against Israel's war in Gaza are continuing to grow across the U.S. The University of Southern California announced today it's canceling its main commencement ceremony next month. Encampments are now in place in at least 20 colleges, and hundreds of demonstrators have been arrested in the last several days at multiple schools, including the University of Texas, Ohio State, and Emory University.
Early this morning at Boston's Emerson University, violence erupted as police cleared a student encampment. More than 100 were arrested. Authorities say 4 officers were injured. That followed this clash at the University of Southern California.
What we just saw was an act of USC acting aggressively and failing to defend, and in fact being the aggressor against its students.
By nightfall, more than 90 people were taken into custody.
We want the university to disclose its financial holdings and divest from its relationships with financial institutions. And we want the university to recognize and acknowledge to its student body that there is a genocide happening to our families in Gaza.
Officials at Columbia University yesterday extended talks with demonstrators to clear the campus, where that same afternoon, House Speaker Mike Johnson was booed after his remarks.
The cherished traditions of this university are being overtaken right now by radical and extreme ideologies. They place a target on the backs of Jewish students in the United States and here on this campus.
Jewish students across the country have said they feel unsafe amid the demonstrations and after being targeted by hate speech and anti-Semitic symbols.
Malcolm X said, and I quote, "We live in one of the rottenest countries that has ever existed on this earth. It's not Genocide Joe that has to go. It's the entire system that has to go. Any system that would allow such atrocities and such devilry to happen and would support it, such a system does not deserve to exist on God's earth."
So what she's got to do in this situation is she still has to appease those people, but she's also got to make sure I can't leave the people that are in the middle that have viewed Israel as a normal ally for the United States for decades and start chanting the things that these protesters are chanting. So you can see the impossible situation that Kamala's in this video. She doesn't know what to say. She's kind of back and forth, doesn't know whether to smile or continue with her speech.
On the fear
she can't tell them to leave because now she's telling her own base to leave and go to the rally down the street. Now, the unique thing about the left is that as their party continues to progress and as our nation continues to shift more towards the left, conservatives somewhat shift their views to be more quote unquote progressive or liberal. There's not a lot of people on the left that will call out the extreme left. For instance, if somebody blatantly says, "I want segregation," even Fox News will call that person out and say, "That's not a good idea. That's a bad ideology." Fox News, the most conservative major media news outlet in the United States, will call that out, and they'll use context of how this conservative idea went too far and this was bad.
UC Berkeley, which is publicly funded, hosted a graduation ceremony for black students only, an event the taxpayer-funded university has hosted every year since 2013. But critics say the event does more to divide students than to bring them together. Joining me now to talk about this is Leo Terrell, Fox News contributor and civil rights attorney. Leo, great to see you. Thanks for being here. You know, this is what the KKK used to do, isn't it? To segregate people by race. I mean, you know, progressives, that's why I hate that term progressives. It's regressive. It's going back to what we decided we didn't want in this country.
You and I are completely in agreement, David. Separate, inherently unequal. This is what people fought against 30, 40, 50 years ago. That's why we have the Civil Rights Act. I want to be as clear as possible. I'm embarrassed, David. I'm a civil rights attorney. I pride myself on judging people by contents of their character, not the color of the skin. That is illegal. That is a graduation solely based on skin color, and I find it offensive. The Democratic Party, David, why are they doing this? It's because they're pandering to the black vote because they're losing the black vote. This is insulting, it's racist, and it's unconstitutional. If there was an all-white graduation party, you can imagine what would happen.
But when it comes to the extreme left, most of the extreme left constituents don't get called out. MSNBC and some of these very liberal media outlets just ignore the fact that these people are extreme, but what bad could it really cause? You're starting to see some liberal news outlets like the Young Turks, Anna Kasparian to be exact, calling out some of the hypocrisy on the left and how the left has gone too extreme. Even Bill Maher, who would identify himself as someone who's on the left, would say some of these ideas are going way too far.
If you're part of today's woke revolution, you need to study the part of revolutions where they spin out of control because the revolutionaries get so drunk on their own purifying elixir, they imagine they can reinvent the very nature of human beings. Communists thought selfishness could be cast out of human nature. Russian revolutionaries spoke of the new Soviet man who wasn't motivated by self-interest, but instead wanted to be part of a collective. No, it turns out he wanted to be on a yacht in a Gucci tracksuit holding a vodka and a prostitute. Not standing in line all day for a potato. The problem with communism and with some very recent ideologies here at home is that they think you can change reality by screaming at it, that you can bend human nature by holding your breath. But that's the difference between reality and your mommy. Lincoln once said that you can repeal all past history, but you still cannot repeal human nature. But he's canceled now, so fuck him. Yesterday, I asked ChatGPT, are there any similarities between today's woke revolution and Chairman Mao's cultural revolution of the 1960s? And it wrote back, how long do you have? Because, again, in China, we saw how a revolutionary thought he could do a page-one rewrite of humans. Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being. A lot of pointing and shaming went on. Oh, and about 1 million dead. And the only way to survive was to plead insanity for the crime of being insufficiently radical, then apologize and thank the state for the chance to see what a piece of shit you are, and of course submit to re-education, or as we call it here in America, freshman orientation.
And you're seeing them show up at these rallies because they're invited to the left, they consider themselves on the left, but they're so extreme that even the politicians on the left are viewed as their enemy because they're not progressive enough.
This is as far as Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders got into his Social Security speech at Westlake Park.
Thank you, Seattle, for being one of the most progressive cities in the United States of America.
Moments later, Black Lives Matter activists rushed the stage.
We're gonna let you on the mic.
I came here to join this rally, watch what was going on, not to listen to somebody take over the stage.
As the crowd called for activists to step aside, Sanders waited patiently.
We are shutting. We will shut it down.
After about 20 minutes, Sanders' wife Jane appeared to give the signal it was time to go. Soon after, they left the stage.
It was just disrespectful.
Well, I think it's unfortunate because, among other things, I wanted to talk about the issue of black lives. But the fact that the American people are tired of seeing unarmed African Americans shot and killed. But there are other issues as well that we have to talk about.
Almost like Bane in Batman.
He was trained by Ra's al Ghul, your mentor.
Bane was a member of the League of Shadows.
And then he was excommunicated. And any man who is too extreme for Ra's al Ghul is not to be trifled with.
And the people who are on the left that do try to call out the extreme leftists, they get exiled from their party and then now they're viewed as a right-wing extremist. Best example, Joe Rogan. He's for gay marriage. He's for marijuana legalization. He's not religious. Like, none of these major stereotypes that you put on a conservative are on him at all. To my knowledge, he's pro-choice. All of these 10 years ago would be someone who's extremely liberal. But the left and the mainstream media label this guy as a far-right extremist. It just shows how far the left has really gone. Remember, there's a lot of noise out there, but the truth always cuts through. So let's keep slicing, find the truth together, keep this conversation going forward, and I'll see you guys next time.